What is going on, traders? A few things to talk about. I hope everyone enjoyed their weekend. It's been a pretty crazy weekend in regards to news between US and Iran, and we're going to go over whether the market is going to take this news seriously or not, or at least I should say continue to take this news seriously or not. So before we start, like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below. Let's get into the video. So first things first, we're going to go over Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is a leading indicator when it comes to market direction or overall market direction. So I think it makes sense to go over Bitcoin simply because we've seen how Bitcoin has reacted over the weekend when it comes to the news between the US, Iran, Israel, so on and so forth. So first things first, we're looking at Bitcoin for our time frame, and we've officially broken below some very key levels. Our first key level was 104K, 103, 500, 104K, somewhere around that range, pretty much right here. And then your next key level was 102K, and now your final wall here is about 100K. We keep seeing Bitcoin try to reclaim 100K or at least hold 100K, and so far is looking pretty good. After that, you're looking at about 98K. We have yet to reach 98K exactly. We got pretty close, 98,300, 98,200 more or less. But if we manage to get below, stay below 100K, then obviously we're going to touch 98K, 97,900 more or less. Just so you guys see, I'm not making this stuff up here. You see to the left here, you got a pretty decent structure here as well, market structure over here. So 97,800, 97,900 more or less is what you're looking at as far as your key level. You manage to break below that, then you're looking at a move towards 95K, 95,500. So I do think Bitcoin is going to see a little bit more downside. Discord members asked me, where do I think Bitcoin is going to go from here? If we manage to get below 97,900, 97,800 more or less, then we're looking at 95K. The lowest I think Bitcoin could potentially go, at least for now, is about 93K, right where these guys are. You see a lot of turbulence in this area over here, a lot of consolidation here. So Bitcoin is going to, at least in my assumption is that Bitcoin is going to have a very hard time trying to break back further down from here, or either further, or I should say bounce back towards the upside from here. So I imagine once we get within this range, if we get within this range, Bitcoin is probably going to play games here for quite some time until we get whatever news. Now, if we manage to break below this range for whatever reason, whether it's news, fundamentals, technical analysis, whatever the case may be, if we do manage to break below this area here, I would imagine that getting below 90K is pretty bad, because if we zoom in, you see that it's very illiquid in this area. So you're going to drop pretty fast, pretty hard, and I would be looking at this consolidation area over here at around 88K, 87K. So a lot of liquid area within this range here below 90K. We're not quite there yet. We're not really close to that area, so I wouldn't too much worry about it. So for now, I'm really focused between 95K, 93K, if and only if we manage to get below that 97,800, 97,900 range. All right, so that's what we're looking at for Bitcoin in regards to downside. Now in regards to upside, you want to see Bitcoin reclaim not only 104K, but also 102K along the way. If you manage to reclaim that, I would say you're pretty safe, and I would say you're pretty safe to be somewhat bullish. Me personally, I would just be neutral until we at least get above 105K, but I wouldn't blame anyone for being somewhat bullish within this range. Probably takes like some minimum risk trade here, and then possibly head back towards previous highs, if not all-time highs. So you want to see Bitcoin pretty much reclaim this level here of 104K. Then you'll be within the range of all this right here, and the potential is pretty much minimum 108K, 107K, and obviously you can go as high as, you know, previous highs, all-time highs if you're being greedy. So that's what I would be looking at in regards to upside when it comes to Bitcoin. So let's get into the ES, SPY, all that fun stuff, NASDAQ. So interesting enough, I'm not really surprised that we're seeing some type of recovery after hours. Like I said in the last video, I believe I said this in the last video, war just does not do anything to the market, right? Like, unless it's directly on US soil, you know, 9/11, Pearl Harbor, things like that, unless it's directly on US soil, you don't really see war have a long-term effect on the market. Now, maybe I'm speaking too soon, but I do imagine that this particular event is not going to have a last-longing effect unless there's more added to it, such as maybe U.S. troops getting on, moving out there and getting on ground, or, you know, something happens on U.S. soil and Iran somewhat retaliates, right? God forbid, of course. But that's what you're looking at when it comes to these things. Like, what exactly would war do to companies like Apple? Or companies like Tesla. Tesla still ran its robo-taxi event, right? So what exactly does these things do when you're talking about the Mag 7, right? doesn't really do much. You know, it's beneficial to gold, it's beneficial to oil, of course, but when you're looking at the names that really carry the market, such as semiconductors, you don't really, they don't really have a long-term everlasting effect on those names. So that's just my thoughts. You guys let me know in the comments below what you think. But me personally, I think this is going to blow over. I can't necessarily say we're going to, go back to previous highs or this is a buy to dip opportunity. But I believe that this particular event is going to blow over and then the market is just going to do what it does, which is probably boost, jump back towards the upside. Now, obviously along the way, we can get more news added to this, such as tariffs, rate cuts, whatever the case may be, or we just get more attacks, or Iran decides to retaliate. But as long as things stay the way they are, if Iran agrees to some type of peace treaty, whatever the case may be, then I do believe this will blow over. So when we're looking at the NASDAQ right now, your key level here is 21,500, 550, more or less. I mean, you see that we bounced off this level. We gapped down, we bounced off this level, and it looks like we're potentially filling this gap back at 21,800. So, again, not surprising that we've seen some type of recovery. It was all, noise over the weekend, in my opinion. But, if you look at history, this stuff just blows over, guys. So for now, I will say as long as the NASDAQ holds 21,500, I wouldn't worry too much if you're bullish. You guys see right here, right? And I tell you guys all the time, the candles will tell you everything you need to know. I mean, right here, there's just a lot of bulls right here, right? So I mean, right here, bullish activity here, bullish activity here, bullish wicks here. I mean, you're creating a bullish wick here. So again, you just need some really, really, really serious news for us to just break down here. And then from there, you're just looking at to stop these guys out of their position if you're looking to be bearish. So wouldn't jump the gun heading into Monday, wouldn't get overly bearish. Maybe something happens overnight, but wouldn't get too bearish. It's just no signs of us, continuing towards the downside just yet because we're respecting these key levels. Any type of move we get to the downside, it just gets bought right back up. So very, very tough area here. This is the 4-hour time frame. You guys see it here. I mean, clean as day. Rejection here, rejection here. You did your roller coaster dance here, you rejected here, you broke through here, bulls just stepped in here, you tried to break down here, but then bulls stepped in here, bullish wick here. So this is a very, very tough area. So 21,500. From there you're looking at 21,300. The lowest you could potentially go if we continue towards the downside, right? Let's say this is just some type of trap, bull trap here, then we can be looking at 20,700, right? So when we're looking at the daily time frame, you still have these gaps to the downside. I don't know when these are going to get filled. Historically, the last 2 weeks of June are bearish, right? So I do imagine that it's going to take more than this news, this war news or whatever you want to call it, to really break things down. But if we get more bad news, maybe tariff news, whatever the case may be, then I do imagine that we're going to start filling these gaps if history decides to repeat itself when it comes to the last 2 weeks of June. We'll see, right? So that's what we're looking at for the NASDAQ when it comes to downside. Now, when it comes to upside, you want to reclaim 22K. You can't reclaim 22K, then it's so, I would say just be more so neutral, more than bearish, right? But if you can get below 21,500, then I think that's a good time to start being bearish, right? But right now, within this range, it doesn't really tell me much. It's just consolidation, in my opinion. We look at the ES. Same thing with the ES. I'm pretty sure I'm missing a key level here. Yeah, 5,950. We talked about that level in past videos. I mean, the ES is clearly respecting this level, but 5,950 is your key level here. You bounced off this level. You see that bulls are here, right? You got bullish wicks here. You see, just like the NASDAQ, right? Bulls are just very, very strong within this range between 5,950 and 5,930. So it's going to take a lot more than our current news to really break things down. And I understand that's pretty frustrating if you are looking to be bearish, right? Because I'm sure a lot of bears are just, drooling at the mouth, expecting Monday to be, hell. But as you guys can see, I mean, yeah, I don't think I have to keep explaining this. So in regards to upside right now, I would say that ES needs to reclaim this area right here at around 6,050, right? But even then, I mean, you got to deal with these guys right here. Let's actually mark it out for you guys because I know some of you are like pushing 50 and need your bifocals, right? And that's okay. We age. But overall, you need to break above this area right here. So this is why I'm kind of leaning towards the neutral territory until we break further down and we really just stop these guys out. Me personally, I want to see 5,900 give. Until then, I'm just kind of like sitting back and just waiting to see what happens. That's just me. You do what you want. But you have officially broken below this rising wedge, right? This is a very bearish pattern. So if you manage to get below 5,900, then obviously you are opening up the floodgates towards 5,880, and then as low as 5,850. You can obviously head lower than that, 5,800, right? And then once you get to 5,800, I do imagine bulls are going to step in. You do have a massive fair value gap down here as well, so it's something you're going to want to pay attention to when it comes to the ES. Let's talk about the SPY. So when it comes to the SPY, what's interesting here, actually, let's look at cheddar flow real quick. I don't have quant data up. I don't know why. I forgot to have quant data up. I know a lot of you like quant data. But cheddar flow, I mean, you're going to see pretty much the same thing on quant data, just probably looks a lot better in regards to understanding, in my opinion. For me at least, right? A lot of you like simple things like this, and that's fine. So when it comes to Friday, right? Oh, last Friday, this past Friday, a lot of puts came in for the SPY, like a lot of puts, right? You got these 595 puts that came in for the SPY. You got 620 puts. These are in the money. But if you look at the premiums as well, but right here, this is insane. So December 19, 2025, right? You got these SPY puts that were above the ask at 594, and this premium is 10.2 million. 10.2 million. Right now, I didn't actually look up this play on quant data. This is why I kind of like prefer quant data, because it gives you a lot more information. But this is something you should look into. Don't blindly follow me or anything like this. Just always, do your own due diligence when it comes to this. But this is a very, very huge position right here, right? So this is something you want to pay attention to. Well, are they expecting a bigger drop? Hard to say, but this is something you want to look at. You got SPY 580 puts showing up as well, so that's going to be interesting. And you got a lot of puts loaded up on Friday, so it's going to be interesting to see how tomorrow ends up, or at least the rest of this week. This rest of this trading week ends up as well. So this is something you want to pay attention to. 10.2 million premiums is something you don't really want to ignore when it comes to the SPY or even the market in general. So what I will say right here, okay, this is a very interesting area right here. Like this whole area right here, okay. This is distribution. This is an area of distribution right here. If we break out of this range, again, like I said in the last video, if you break below this whole area of distribution, I would say 590. I talked about this in the last video. You get below 590, you're looking at a pretty massive drop, right? And why I say that? Well, if you're new to trading, the more you consolidate, the bigger the upcoming move, whether it's to the upside or to the downside. So the fact that you're just consolidating here just tells me that a massive move is coming, like a really, really massive move, right? Here's a good example. You consolidated for quite some time and then you broke towards the upside, like insane, right? Maybe some more examples on the SPY. The SPY has not been consolidating too much lately due to tariffs and things like that. But I mean, right here, right? So in this area right here, you had a lot of distribution within this area. You had a lot of consolidation with this area. You attempted to break down, you retest it, and then boom, right? So we could be looking at the same scenario here, or this current date here, right? Where we're consolidating. Maybe we just break down a little bit more. We do one of these, hit 590, do one of these. Oh, the market is saved again. Hit 600 and then boom. Okay. So something you definitely want to pay attention to. Okay. Again, the more you consolidate, right, within a range between whatever, on the SPY, triple Qs, the bigger the upcoming move is going to be. So I don't know if it's going to be to the downside. I can't say for sure it's going to be to the upside, but if we're just judging off, what we're looking at right now, it's safe to say downside is very much possible, or more downside is very much possible. You have lower highs constantly forming. So far, you're forming some type of lower low. Honestly, this is a minor lower low. You want to see 590 break before you start really saying, yeah, there's a new low low. All right. So hopefully that makes sense. But right now, 590, 589 is your key level. That's what you really want to pay attention to, especially as long as you stay below 598. We talk about this level all the time. 598, your key level, right here where these guys are. So it's looking very tough. Again, historically, the last 2 weeks of June are bearish, and then July is just like rally city. So we'll see, right? But yeah, this is something you don't want to ignore. Okay, so hopefully this makes sense. 598 your key level to the upside. From there, obviously 600 downside, 590 final boss. Simple as that. Triple Qs, you're looking at the same thing. Distribution within this area, right? You're consolidating. 522 is your key level. 522, 521, more or less. Basically where these guys are right here, just in case it's too confusing, right? 522, 521, you manage to break below that, you open up the floodgates towards 515. Okay, 515. So you want to see a break and retest below 522. So something like this, boom, boom, and then boom. Okay, so 515 is what I'm looking at if we manage to break below 521, 522, more or less. Okay, so again, you're looking at a massive area of consolidation here, guys. So you really want to be careful. And I mean, if you look to the left, tough, right? This is very tough areas. Bears are very much present here. Okay, so bulls are fighting, right? Bulls are very much fighting, but these are very tough areas to get out of. So if you manage to break back towards the upside, right? If you manage to do one of these, maybe boom, boom, you're squeezing to the upside. At that point, there's no doubt in my mind you're heading towards all-time highs. So I will watch for triple Qs to get back above 533, 534 more or less, and then you're looking at a potential squeeze back towards the upside. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at when it comes to the triple Qs. And so if we look at the Discord, interesting enough, Friday, we saw a lot of VIX calls come in for September. Right, VIX calls, 24 strike VIX calls open for 13 million. I think it makes sense now, right? We're probably going to see this VIX spike at open, but ultimately, yeah, this is something you don't want to ignore as well. Another interesting thing that came in on our Discord bot is SMH puts, right? 240 puts for, what is this, June 27th, right? And it's important to do your research on these plays. It's impossible for me to research all of this and be like, oh, they're still in this play, or they're sold this position, whatever the case may be. So it's important to look up order flow yourself and make sure these plays are still valid, right? I'm just bringing them to you guys' attention so that you have the time to do the research on them. But SMH, 240 puts, this is a very crazy position here because I guess they're expecting this to happen this week. Again, do your own research. I can't say for sure if they're still in this position or not, but 240, pretty massive move when we're looking at SMH. So if we do look at SMH, me personally, SMH does not look too bearish. I mean, it doesn't look bearish at all in my opinion. But like I said before, when you're looking at the triple Qs and SPY, you're just consolidating, and the more you're consolidating, the bigger the upcoming move, right? So something big is going to happen, right? It's just a matter of what direction we're looking at. So far, I would say be neutral here, because if you look at the daily time frame, you're just respecting this trend line here. I mean, you rejected here, and then you closed right above it, right? So it's too early to jump the gun. It's too early to make assumptions that we're going to continue to the downside. Like I've been saying before, semiconductors has really been holding this market up. In order for the market to really tank, semiconductors need to give up. Simple as that. If semiconductors are not giving up, if semiconductors are still holding key levels, I mean, a war is just not enough to bring these things down. Okay, so I just want to make that clear. We look at Nvidia, right? Now, Nvidia is in a very interesting spot here because you have this somewhat of a rising wedge here, right? So if Nvidia manages to get below 140, then you're looking at a move towards 137. So nothing too crazy in my opinion. I think that's the lowest Nvidia can go, at least for the short term. I don't really have a target below that, but maybe you head towards this gap fill at 130. But for now, I'm looking at 137 and then a possible recovery, assuming that everything is going to be okay in regards to news. Okay, and that's a pretty big assumption considering our president. So as far as Nvidia go, your key level, your main level of all levels, 140. Obviously 142 is a key level, 142, 140. And reason why I say 140, in case you're not understanding why I'm just randomly saying 140, so these guys right here, okay, this area right here, so let me mark it out for you guys. Boom. So these guys right here, okay, you got bullish wicks in this area, you got a few bearish wicks here as well, but nothing too crazy, right? So you really want to see 140 hold if you are an investor in Nvidia, or you're looking to trade Nvidia to the upside, whatever the case may be. This is what you want to see hold. From there, you're looking at 137, and I don't really have much from there because, again, semiconductors are just very strong. Now, if we're talking about the projected measured move for this rising wedge, and it's a very small rising wedge, so I wouldn't I wouldn't put too much faith into this playing out, but if it just so happens to play out, crazy enough, 137. Okay, 137 is the projected measured move for this rising wedge pattern. So that's what I have when it comes to Nvidia. That's what I have when it comes to SMH. It's going to be a very interesting next few weeks, guys. So in conclusion, right, you want to pay attention to your key levels when it comes to the SPY. 590 is your main level when it comes to downside. Triple Q's 522. You could push it to say about 521 if you really want to be safe, but 522, 521, that's your key level when it comes to downside. You want to pay attention to obviously the semiconductors more than anything, in my opinion. Nvidia, you want to see Nvidia hold 140. As long as Nvidia holds 140, I think this is just a bunch of noise in regards to news. SMH, you want to see SMH hold this trend line, but if you need a key level, 255 is your main level. You break below 255, you're obviously heading towards 250 at that point. Right here where these guys are, right here where this double bottom was. So you had a double bottom neckline right here. Right, so bottom here, so 250, 249 more or less is what you really want to see hold for SMH. You manage to get below that, then it is very much possible that those 240 puts for SMH could very much play out. Another thing that came into the Discord, but I don't know if I talked about it, but there were VIX 30 strike calls, right? I do believe they came in these VIX 19 puts as well. This is interesting as well. So I do think the VIX can vary. Let's actually look at the VIX. So you had VIX 24 strike calls, and then you have VIX 19 strike puts come in, right? And so a move I was talking about in a Discord exclusive video, a potential move I was looking at, right, is something like this, where we just do one of these, we fill this gap at 18 before heading back towards the upside, right? And then obviously the market would do inverse of that. So that's a move I'm looking at. I'm not guaranteeing it. Maybe we just open completely, red or whatever the case may be. Maybe the market just opens up extremely bearish, right? And then obviously the VIX will just go towards that 24, 25 target right here where these guys are. And then we possibly see that move back towards the 18, okay, and fill this gap. So I know it's pretty contradicting, right? You got VIX 19 push, you got VIX 24 strike calls, but me personally, wait 30 minutes into open. That's just me. Okay, do what you want. Wait 30 minutes into open before you start trading or going crazy or assuming that we're going to continue towards the downside, because again, we haven't really, when you look at it, you just really haven't gone anywhere. You haven't. So crazy enough, you just haven't, right? So just be careful, guys, heading into tomorrow or even the rest of this week. Again, this is just a nothing burger in my opinion. But we'll see. Maybe something happens overnight. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below. A lot of you have said I haven't been like humorous lately and things like that. The jokes just come to me, guys. I don't like try to force jokes and things like that. So if I'm feeling funny, then I'm just funny at that point in time. But overall, Discord link will be in the description below if you want access to this type of information where we see what institutions are doing and we decide whether we want to trade off that news or this order flow. Keep in mind the Discord bot does not alert just random AI things. It's not even alerting off AI type information. It's just alerting what's happening on the order flow, the most significant plays that's popping up on the order flow. You guys, I talked about Marvell. Remember, I was talking about Marvell heading towards 80s. You saw Marvell go crazy. You see here Marvell 90 strike calls for July 18th, 2025. July has a history of being extremely bullish, so we'll see. But until the next video, traders, let me know what you think in the comments below. Have a good one.